In her quiet castle, Cinderella sat by the window, brushing her golden hair, dreaming of adventure beyond the royal walls. A soft wind blew through the open window, whispering her name. Cinderella, follow the wind. Startled, she stood and looked out. A glowing light appeared in the garden and began floating away. Intrigued, Cinderella slipped on her glass slippers and followed the magical glow into the forest behind her castle. As she stepped deeper into the woods, the trees shimmered and sparkled. The wind guided her to a hidden portal glowing with blue and gold energy. With a deep breath, Cinderella stepped through it, into another world. Cinderella emerged into a lush, magical forest, unlike anything she had ever seen. Trees sparkled with golden leaves, and butterflies shimmered like diamonds in the air. The sky was painted in hues of lavender and rose gold. Suddenly, a deer with emerald eyes approached her and bowed. It had a scroll tied around its neck. Cinderella gently untied it and read, "Welcome, Princess of Kindness. Follow the light of the heart. A friend awaits you." As she looked up, the deer began to trot forward, guiding her through the magical woods. Every step seemed to hum with enchantment. Far away in a cozy cottage surrounded by blooming flowers, Snow White hummed a tune while baking an apple pie. Her animal friends danced around her in joy. Suddenly, the bluebirds started chirping in an unfamiliar melody. She paused and listened carefully. The melody was not her usual tune. It was a magical call. The forest was trying to tell her something. Snow White stepped outside and noticed the wind forming gentle glowing patterns in the air, leading into the deeper part of the forest. She took her red cloak and whispered to the animals, "Stay safe. I'll be back soon." She followed the magical wind, curious and calm. As Cinderella followed the glowing deer, she reached a sparkling meadow. At the same time, Snow White stepped into the same meadow from the opposite side. For a moment, they both froze, looking at each other in surprise. Cinderella gasped softly, "Are you?" "Snow White," she said with a gentle smile. Cinderella beamed. "I've heard stories about you." Snow White giggled. "And I've heard yours. It seems we were meant to meet." Suddenly, the meadow glowed brighter, as if the world itself celebrated their encounter. A magical connection had formed, two hearts of kindness meeting under the same enchanted sky. Together, Cinderella and Snow White ventured further into the magical world. They reached a crystal cave guarded by silver vines. Inside, a glowing mirror floated in the air, the mirror of truth. As they approached, the mirror spoke, "Only those with pure hearts may reveal the truth." One by one, they stepped forward. The mirror glowed warmly and showed them a vision, a dark shadow spreading across the magical world, weakening the beauty of nature and joy. A voice echoed, "A forgotten sorceress returns. Only united hearts can stop her." Cinderella and Snow White looked at each other and nodded. Then we must protect this world together. Guided by a glowing map from the mirror, the princesses reached the Tower of Time, a silver structure that rose high into the sky, spiraling into the clouds. Inside, the tower had floating stairs and glowing clocks that ticked backward and forward. At the top, they met the timekeeper, an ancient being with glowing eyes. "You seek the key to the sorceress's past," he said. "You must journey into her memories. Only then will you understand how to save her." He opened a portal, and the princesses held hands and jumped through it, into the forgotten memories of the sorceress who once ruled this magical land. Inside the memory world, they saw a younger version of the sorceress. She was once a kind woman named Elira, loved by magical creatures. But her heart broke when her sister vanished in a storm created by humans. Elira's sorrow turned to anger. Her tears became spells of darkness. Snow White whispered, as she was hurt, "Not evil." Cinderella nodded. "We must heal her heart, not destroy her power." Suddenly, Elira's shadow self noticed them. "You cannot change what has passed," she screamed. Snow White held out her hand. "But we can help you heal." Light burst around them. The portal closed. They had seen enough. Back in the real magical world, the sky darkened. Elira's shadow had returned, larger than before. Trees wilted, rivers turned grey, and joy faded. Cinderella and Snow White stood tall at the heart of the forest. They summoned the light of their kindness, the power of empathy, and the courage of unity. Elira's shadow attacked, sending waves of darkness. But the princesses combined their light, forming a shield of magic that reflected her pain. "Feel our truth," they cried together. "You are not alone." Their light struck Elira's heart. The shadow cracked, and a tear fell from her eyes. Elira collapsed in the middle of the forest, her shadow dissolving. Her true form, gentle and graceful, was revealed. Her eyes were filled with regret. "I lost myself in sorrow," she whispered. "Thank you for reminding me who I was." The forest healed around them. Flowers bloomed again, birds sang, and light returned to the sky. Elira promised to protect the magical world, now filled with understanding. Cinderella and Snow White smiled, knowing their journey was worth it. The wind whispered once more, "A friendship is the most powerful magic." As night fell, the stars danced above them. Elira opened 2 magical portals, one for each princess to return to her world. Before leaving, Cinderella and Snow White embraced. "I will never forget this journey," said Cinderella. "Nor will I," replied Snow White. "Let's meet again someday." They stepped through their portals, returning to their kingdoms, hearts stronger, minds wiser, and souls forever connected by a magical bond. Far above, the moon glowed brighter than ever, as if blessing their friendship from the heavens.